Happy Friday, good people. This is your PoolePRoof Wisdom Moment. Today I want to talk to you about something that many of us can convince ourselves that we are not, and often convince ourselves that we are. Sounds like a riddle, doesn't it? But it really isn't. I want you to think about how many times you have told yourself or you've heard other people telling themselves that they're a realist and that they're all about keeping it real or being authentic. I say it myself, and in most of the cases I can say I am, but there are cases when I convince myself of that and I am not. The truth of the matter is that without a lot of practice and a lot of experience, most of us do not see reality. We see our interpretation of that reality, and we use that interpretation based upon a lot of different factors that have defined who we are at the current moment. That's the reason our positions on things can change over time. How we look at the world can change over time because the reality is defined by what we understand of it. But when we are looking at the core and essential foundation on which we build our perception of the world, the people who live in it, the circumstances under which we live, a lot of times those things are swayed by powers that are within our control that we choose not to control nonetheless. And that's the reason I said that we look at the world through our interpretation of it. It's not necessarily reality, but how we think reality should be. When we are able to rise above that way of thinking, however, and see the world as it really is, inclusive of all the people who make it up, it gives us pause because we realize that the world doesn't operate based upon what we think it should be, based upon what we were taught it should be, based upon all of the things that we have lived with and through up until this point that were specifically related to who we are. We can't expect the world to be like we are. We can't expect the people who live in the world to think like we do. All we can do is listen and learn and grow so that our realization of what the world is really about is based upon the authentic example of all of the things that make it exactly what it is. So if you really want to be a realist, pay attention. Listen to other people. Learn from your experiences that involve all of the things that you will deal with and you will come to understand as you are growing into who you are becoming. But don't ever convince yourself that you are so completely a realist that you don't look at all the opportunities you have to learn and do and be different. Once you do that, you realize that the truest way to be real is to just continue to grow. Because the good thing about life is it teaches us who we are becoming and who we have the opportunity to become still. And there's nothing more real than the fact that we go on and we become that person, whether we necessarily want to or not, as time exerts its force upon us and teaches us how to be real in the real world. That's your PoolePRoof Wisdom Moment for today. Going into the weekend, I pray that you have good times, authentic experiences, and that you get into being real for the sake of being authentic, not just with yourself, but with the rest of the world that you are a member of. I'll see you next time.